ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಪದಾರ್ಥ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಚಾನಲ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪದಾರ್ಥ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ. ಇವತ್ತು ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಬೇರಿಯರ್ನ ಒಂಚೂರು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ದ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ 200 marks, where the practicals, that is the written aspect, is going to be for 100. Viva, where the questions will be asked regarding the subject matter, that is for 60. Electives, as you have already finished and the college has submitted the electives what you have attended to the university, as well as the internal marks what you have written in the 3 phases has already been submitted to the university. So henceforth already you are having 40 marks in your hand by the practical, approximately out to the maximum 40 marks you are already having in the hand. So rest all is about the 160 marks. So the practicals, where it has been divided, the 100 has been categorized into the different one. The first one is spotting, and you're supposed to identify whatever the thing has been given. Maybe it is like what is going to be there in the anatomy, object would have been kept and identify, or else object would have been kept and they would have asked which pramana or which pada it is, or whether abhava or samavaya or upamana or yukti, what it is trying to explain. That is going to be there for the 20 marks. Then the next 20 marks would be for your journal activity or project work. Okay, so any of the activities that has been given for you, maybe like write the 20 different words or the new words what you have learned this week. So there would have been a book for that special one, or else any of the activities would have been gone, that is non-lecturing hours, and you would have recorded it in your notes, or else a separate book would have been kept, or else and project would have been given, maybe model making project or chart making project or any other project would have been given from the different colleges to you. So that is going to carry about 20 marks. The next point is going to be about the practicals, where the questions will be direct and each going to carry the 10 marks. The first one is identify Panchmahabhuta dominance in the given dravya. The second one would have been identify the Samanya Vishesha in the given dravya. And the third would be identify the gunas in the given dravya. Yeah, of course, it has been given use different dravyas for different students, as each stream is going to be a 25 to 30 for a practical purpose. So depending on the internal and the external, the objects might change. Maybe your friend have got A, maybe you will get B or C. Okay, so it depends on the internal and external who had visited your college for the practical purpose. Then the next part is going to be that problem based or situation based. So here the question will be something like a problem one or a situation based, and you are supposed to answer. So note over here, any 3 might come out of the 6 points what has been allotted. So the first one being identify and explain Karya Karna with its type in given problem. Second one, frame and write Panchavaya Vakya for the given Anumana. Third one, identify Vyapti, Paksha, Sadhya, Hetu, Paksha Dharmata, Sapaksha, Vipaksha in the given example. Identify and explain Hetvavasa in the given example. Identify the Vada applicable in a given example. And the last one being identify Upamana, Sanya Samni Sambandha in the given example. So any of the 3 can be seen, not all the 6. Okay, so depending on the batch, the questions might vary or anything might come depending on the external and the internal what you are having. Then it comes with a Viva voice, where there will be a Viva would have been taken for you. So the marks has been allotted for the different topics. For the shloka, it's 10. For questions on darshana, 10 marks. For dravya, guna or karma, among these 3 topics, any questions can be asked, that is allotted 10 marks. Question on samanya, vishesha, samavaya and abhava, 10 marks. Question on any one pramana, that is going to hold for the 10 marks. Then question on karya karna bhava, 10 marks. So already I have told internal marks and electives, already the 40 marks would have been to the max, 40 would have been already given to you from your college, and already they have reached the university. So why this pattern they have done? So it is very simple. Previously or some of the colleges or some of the people would have gone to some viva. In the starting hours when they have come up, they might be in a good mood and they would have asked more question to the first candidate. Whereas once it comes to the middle, or when they are hungry or they want to go out, but there are some busy schedules or something, whatever may the reason, the last students have got only the few questions, right? So in order to remove that sort of differentiations or the ambiguities or whatever the issues the students might face, that complaining of a student will get more questions where the last student will get only one question, and depending on that, maybe the first student have answered many of the questions and he had been scored low, whereas the last student who has been asked only one question has been scored really high. In order to remove this sort of a differentiation or the ambiguities or the variations, so this pattern has been adopted. Okay, so from now onwards there will be nothing like the first student will get so many questions and the last student will get the few questions. No, nothing like that, because already the marks has been given. The particular way or particular pattern has to be followed by the individual internal and external in order to allow a right mark to each and every student. Okay, so let's get into the subject matter. So the first question being Pratyaksha Pramana or Pratyaksha Bhadakara Bhava. The question might come from this session, so I have been choosing one or two examples so that you can understand how the questions might come in your practicals. Not very much sure that these are the questions which you are going to get for the practicals, so don't just be prepared for these questions. These are just an example. Okay, I hope I am clear. These are just an example, like how the practical exam can be conducted or will be conducted in your college. So first one being the Pratyaksha Bhadakara Bhavas or Pratyaksha Pramana. First question will be like, write the Panchendriya Grahya Bhava in the given Dravya. Okay, that means you are supposed to write Panchendriya Grahya Bhava and to be identified and then write about that. So you already know about the image. So the expected answer would be with the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. So Shabda, crackling sound when you try to eat it. Sparsha, it is rough, hard and spiky. Rupa, it is round and yellowish color. Rasa, maybe a salty or a little bit of a spicy according to the different, because they make a flavors, right? So it might be having a spiciness with that. Gandha, elegant Gandha. It's going to be a beautiful smell when you are trying to have it. Expected answer from you people. So moving on to the next one, Pratyaksha Bhadakara Bhava. So the match the following or any of the form they might try to give. So something like this. Question you are supposed to match. Okay. Then the expected answer, what we are going to get it. The first one being the Avarnath, the second one being the Karna Daurbalya, third one Ati Sukshma, and the fourth one being the Ati Durat. Because Ati Durat, you can see the planets. In the Ati Sukshma, you can see the microorganisms over there. Karana Daurbalya, because the person is wearing a specs or else some hearing aid. Avarna, because there is an obstructions for the pathway what is been lined out there. Okay, so that's how it is going to be there. So moving on to the next way of asking a question in the Pratyaksha Bhadakara Bhava. Identify given dravya and write its utility to overcome Pratyaksha Bhadakara Bhava. Okay, so you already know one is being there, the images, two images, and here also another two. So what the answer might be given for the telescope, Ati Durat, because it helps us to see as the far away things like the planets, stars, etc. Microscope for the Ati Sukshma, because it helps us to see the microorganisms which are present. Then Ati Sannikarshat. So if the book has been kept at the proper distance, you will avoid the Ati Sannikarsha Pratyaksha Bhadakara Bhavas. Then concentration of the mind, it is going to clear the Mano Anavasthanat, which can be done by the meditation or the any of the concentration method, something like Tarpana. Okay, so you can do that. Moving on to the next form of a question, that is Vada. Identify which sort of a Vada has been mentioned over there. The first one, identify the given dravyas and write about the particular Vada pertaining to it. So you can see the seeds and then next to it a oil container. So directly you can guess it is nothing but the Satkarya Vada. With the help of the Tila, a Tila Taila can be obtained. So in a similar way, you have the Mritika, which is like a wet pot, and the pot has been ready. It is also one of the answer for the Satkarya Vad. Then Tantu and the Pata, which is also again an example for the Satkarya Vad. So moving on to the next one, that is the curd turning into an buttermilk. So you can answer it as an parinama, because we try to bring the changes in the form, that is from the dadi to the takra. Moving on to the next one, the seeds what are there has been sprouted and then they have been converted into a small the plants. So which can be called as Satkaryavada and the Parinamavada. That's the change what has been obtained in them. So moving on to the next, what will happen? That is equal quantity of the Grita and Madhu. It's a best example for the Asatkaryavada, because when you mix the equal amount of an Madhu and the Grita, it is going to become the Visha, which is actually not present in both of them. It's an example for the Asatkaryavada and the Arambha Vada. The one more is, that is turmeric, calcium, which is turning into a red color, is also one of the example of the Asatkaryavada or Arambha Vada. So moving on to the next, the pot converting into a harder one and the raw mango converting into a ripened one. It can be an example of the Pirupaka and the Pitarapaka. So you can write the what sort of a paka has been seen, because both are going to talk about the stage of conversions. Okay. So moving on to this example. So where you have see a rope was being looked like an sarpa, then it can be taken an example of an Vivarta Vada. So moving on to the next, the thorns present on the stem of a plant, it can be taken it as a Swabhava Vada, because depending on the plants, they will be having a thorns, it's a Swabhava. They are having different color, it's a Swabhava of those things. So moving on to the next one. So it's a very easier one, Vada. So you can see that there is a light beam coming under dust, and there is a one more example cluing that atoms. So that is nothing but the Paramanu Vada. So before moving to the Abhava and Samavaya, so let me tell you, it depends on the internal and the external. They might present these like Vada, identifying the Vada, maybe on a screen with the help of a projector, or else they might take out and a printout and they might stick it on the tables. It just depends on the individual college and individual external and internal. So over here, I am just trying to explain you what are the chances of practical questions and how they might have been there for you people. That's it. Just don't say that we have got a video saying that the practicals were like this on the PPTs and we expected to be on a PPT. No, it depends on the internal and an external. I am repeating this again and again. It depends on the internal and external visiting your college. So moving on to the next one, Abhava and Samavaya. Just by an example, identify the type of Abhava and give justification. So in the first example, there was a child missing, and the second in the pic, you can see that child has been present. So that can be an example of a Praghabhava, as a child was absent before its birth, okay, in the family. So moving on to the next, the destruction of the glass. So that can be taken as a Pradvamsa Bhava, as the glass has not exist after the destruction. So you and me. So it can be called as example of an Atyanta Bhava, as you cannot be me and I cannot be you people, because it is going to be an Atyanta Bhava. We both are not same. We are very much different. That is what even we have been keep on saying with the help of Pratipurusha Siddhanta. Prati Purusha, Prati individual Purusha person. So everybody is separate. They are unique. That is nothing but the Atyanta Bhava. You cannot expect me to be or you to be. Okay. So moving on to the next one. The images, the rasa. So it is an anyona abhava of the rasa, that is amla and madura in each other. You cannot find the sweetness in the tamarind what you are having in that image, as well as the sourness what is present in the tamarind in that sweet. So henceforth we cannot expect that. So moving on to this picture. So it's one of the example for an samavaya. As of now in that image, because if you try to separate them, there is a chance of a death. That samavaya is nothing but apratak bhava. If you try to break it, there will be complete destruction of a thing. So one more example of this, the fire. So you cannot remove nothing, no more chances of a separation. That is nothing but the ushnatva of the agni. Okay. Moving on to the next one, Upamana or Yukti Pramana. So identify the Upamana and find the Upamana. So you are having the lotus and you are having the Spatika Mala. So you can write the Pundarikane Sadrusha Hrudayaha Spatika. You know that Spatikabam Dravan Sniktam Madhuram Madhugandhicha. It's one of the features of a Shukra. So you are going to compare that. And then the Gunjafala for the Rakta you can give. Next one, identify the Yukti in the given statement. So by the image you can try to see that it is trying to talk about the Chikitsa of Thadhyavyadis by the presence of Bishak, Dravya, Upasthata and the Rogi. Okay. So then the combination of the Panchamahabhuta and there is a soul present. So you can call it as the combination of the Panchamahabhuta and Atma give rise to the Garva, which is an example for the Yukti Pramana. So moving on to the next, identify Panchamahabhuta dominance in the given Dravya. So where the 5 senses has been given over there as an example. So you already know that which all Mahabhuta is having a predominance on which sthan. So like this, they might try to choose any other thing, Panchamahabhuta dominance. Maybe they try to come and keep a juice before you, which is having a Mahabhuta. They might try to keep a duster before you, which is having a Panchamahabhuta, that is Prithvi Mahabhuta dependent over there. They might keep a perfume before you, which is going to be again a Prithvi Mahabhuta. So like that, depending on the conditions, so the questions might vary. So moving on to the next one, identify Samanya Vishesha in the given Dravyas on 3 doshas. So it is very simple. The first one is the Kshira. So Kshira is going to having the Guru and Snigdha Guna, which is going to cause the Kapha Vriddhi. Then because of the Guru and Snigdha, Vatakshaya will be there. Shita Guna, Pittakshaya you are going to see. Henceforth, it is very important you know very well about the Stanga Hridaya. That is, the Dravya Vijnana has to be there in order to answer this question. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Identify the gunas in the given Dravya. So the best examples what we can see is the 2 images what I have put up. So you can write the answer as the Snigdha because it is Grita. It's going to have the Snigdha Guna in that. And the feather I have put up, that is the peacock feather, which is going to have the Lagu Guna. Okay. So moving on to the next one. Problem based questionnaires or situation based, answer any 3. So this I am going to discuss in the next video. So stay tuned for the next video for your practical examinations.